This is a Zeiss SL-115 slit lamp. It's white, and these are some basic overall access points that you might need to get to various things. Just letting you know, it's got a direct power into the slit lamp, 120 volt, and it has a Artesyn embedded power supply inside the base underneath, so it's a complete unit, and the power going to the halogen bulb comes from here, and also the power going to the fixation comes from your power supply inside here. It has a 8, 12, and 20 mag on it. To get access to the halogen bulb beneath the cap, and the bulb is there, and it has a different type of socket where it just has a little clip here that raises up, and then the socket assembly folds down. So you would pry that up and it folds down, and then you have access to your 6 volt 10 watt halogen bulb. Your wiring goes underneath here and around here, sort of basic. And if you're wanting to get to the filters and diaphragms, you would have to take this light assembly off. There's an Allen screw here, and this pulls off, but before you do it, measure the distance here and here and make a note of it so that when you're putting it back on, you have it about at the same distance. This comes off, and there's a spring under there, and these filters are plastic, so just glass cleaner is not going to clean it. You're going to need some polish, some plastic polish to clean this plastic lens. But you will need some kind of plastic polish to clean those if you can't clean them by just glass cleaner. The slit width adjustment is your typical Zeiss, and by taking off the diaphragm and the filter wheel assembly, you can have a view of your slits, and you can clean them, blow them out if there's debris in there that's keeping them from closing. You can get access to inside here the prisms. You have the lower prism assembly is in this half, and in this half you have the upper prism assembly. And if you need to go in there to clean them, the prisms, well, you're going to have to take it off. But before you do anything, you need to look through your view, look through your binocular, and make sure, first of all, that it lines up. I hope you have a focus bar, test bar, and look through your binoculars and and see what kind of alignment you have, and see if it's centered on each side. If it's to one side or the other, well then your head might be out. So you would want to correct that and get it in the center before you start taking things apart, because you're going to be changing the view whenever you start moving your prisms, and things might be off. So before you go into everything, try to center your head and check the focus. Make sure that the head is centered on each side of your focus rod and your light is in focus. You can adjust the alignment of the light with your prism up here on top, but you need to verify the focus, and that's where you have 3 Allen screws under here, and that will enable you to turn your head one way or the other and to go in and out to get the best focus. And you would want to put it on 20, your highest mag, and move your head backward or forward to get that light sharp and clear, and the focus being clear. That's the important thing. And you may have to get the focus at 20, but then you have to turn it to 12 to see if you've still got it lined up. Sometimes when you're pulling it back and forth, you might move it out of center from one side to the other, so you've got to get the focus right at the same time you're getting the head exactly centered. So it's a little bit of a dance there, where you're checking the focus and your alignment. So when you've got them both in, then you tighten up your 3 Allen screws under here. You don't have to loosen them a lot, just a little bit, just so you can move your head one way or the other or push forward. You can kind of barely tap the head if it needs to go back and forth. You can push your focus rod forward or back to see which way your head needs to go. When you're focusing the light, one way you can do it is you're going to have to be moving your head back or forth to find the best focus at 20. And when you're tweaking it, you can push your bar one way or the other to see which way the head actually needs to go. If being closer gets it in better focus, that means your head needs to go forward a little bit. If you're pushing it out and it's more in focus, that means your head needs to come out a little bit. And so don't loosen them too much so it doesn't move a lot when you move it, just when it barely moves. So once you have your alignment and your focus right, now you can go into your prism assemblies, take them off and clean them inside if you need to, and then so that when you're putting it all back together, you already have a frame of reference and you can put it back together. If you're needing to gain access into here to clean your prisms, there's 3 screws near the bottom that this bottom tube will come out, and then this top tube will come out. It's got 1 Allen screw right here on the side. So 3 on the bottom and then 1 up here. And when you're putting it back together, you're going to have to turn your bottom prism. It's the main light coming in. And look at your focus bar and see when the light is the most defined. You'll see as you're turning it, you'll see when your light is going to be most defined. So you can adjust that and tighten it with the 3 screws. And then your top half, you can turn it one way or the other to get your light back into the center of your view and your focus bar. Now, if you need to tweak the light, like go up or down or diagonally, well, you can have access to those adjustments underneath the cap. There's 2 screws here. Take those off, and then you'll have access to the adjustment screws for this prism. You have you have 3 screws holding the whole plate down, but this back screw can make the light go up and down by tightening or loosening. And then your 2 Allens on the side, which are 0.9 mil or 0.035, those will affect your light diagonally. So the screw in the back, loosening or tightening, will make your light go up or down. And then your 2 Allens on each side will help your light go diagonally one way or the other. So once you have your height right and your diagonal right, now you may have to, if you can't screw it down, you may have to loosen these two alignment screws so that you can tighten it down. And if you have to loosen it, then you may have to tighten these 2 so that everything is firm. There's 2 washers underneath this cover. So this is tweaking alignment, moving your head around. That's going to get you in the ballpark area, but fine tuning your light will be done in here. While we're up here, your tonometer mount, which takes an 870 type tonometer, but your mounting screws, there's room in there to move the mount. So when you're adjusting your tonometer, you'll know that you have areas where you can align the tonometer with your view by these screws in here. And here's your yellow filter, up and down. If you're needing to get under the base, well, you're going to have to take the arms off. But because everything is connected with wires, you can't move everything too far away. You've got to keep everything close together because you have cables connecting the base to the chin rest end to the light assembly, so you can't separate them too far. So we'll have to take this off with snap ring pliers. There's a little wave washer under here that you don't want to lose. So you've got to put your cable on this side of the base because your cable is coming out on this side. So we'll put that there. And we can take this arm off, microscope arm. You can take this completely off and out, and you can take this out of your way. So that will help. And then to get it out of your tracks, you've got an Allen screw in here, accessible through here. You could take one off and loosen the other one, and then you can just kind of turn your cover, and then you have access to pulling it out. And this has got the typical, it has the typical wheels, Zeiss wheels with the slots, plastic. So that's all. The bearings, you can take this axle completely out if you wanted to. The bearings will stay inside the bearing holder inside here. And you can take these knobs off by, there's a little cover on here, your lock screw, and it's got a screw you can loosen a little bit, and you can pull off your knob, and it's got a spacer, and here you have a cover, and this has space in here to move forward and backward, and this is going to be affecting your belt tension. This is the slit lamp base is driven by a belt between your joystick and your spindle. It's not gear to gear, but it's a belt, and this Allen, by turning it, increases or decreases the space between the spindle and the joysticks, and so it affects the tension of your belt. And then you can take off your rheostat cover. Same way, the knob, it's got a little cover on it and has a little 7mm nut under it. By holding the handle, you can loosen it and pull your knob off, and it's got a little spacer here that keeps the rheostat in the center, and that comes off too. So once you've got it out, you can turn it over, and you can see the belt tension. It's not totally tight. It's going to be a little bit loose. And I think to get to your belt, you could take off these 4 Allens. I'm not sure really to get to the belt. I've never had to do that. This is the first time I've dealt with a 115. And here's your spindle is actually on the side, And as you're turning your joystick and turning the belt, it's turning, your spindle is actually on the side and not in the middle as a typical slit lamp. And you can see it operating in there, and you can do some adjustments or whatever. But to get to the rheostat, you would have to get inside this plate, pull it out, and get to your rheostat, which is under here. All your electrical things, your power supply is in here, and here's the manufacturer of the embedded power source, Artesyn. Just showing you those things underneath in case that's helpful to you. And you can lubricate your joystick a little bit under here and have access to taking it apart. On each side of the carrier cover, there's some guides, one on each side, and they look like they're made out of some type of plastic. You can adjust the tension of these if they're getting worn out, but they should be okay. And also, whenever you're putting your cover back onto your rheostat, remember that the cap has a little raised slot in it that coincides with the knob. So find out where that little tab is and slip it right into your corresponding place on your knob. Now your microscope head, your lenses of your eyepieces, you want to clean those, but you should be very careful about what cleaning solution you use. Zeiss recommends their Zeiss lens cleaner, and it's a little bit different chemical than regular glass cleaner, so be careful. And if you can get some Zeiss lens cleaner, use that on your eyepieces. And if you wanted to adjust the prisms underneath, well, not that easy. If you took the two screws off this cover, you have access to your prisms, but they're glued in with some type of epoxy. And if you wanted to adjust your prisms, you would have to dislodge the epoxy, move them into position, and then epoxy them back. So that's not a simple operation. If you needed to take your whole head off, it has 3 Allen screws, one on the top and then 2 underneath, and by taking those off you can have access to the back of your, by taking these 3 screws off you can have access to the back of your binoculars. So taking those 3 screws out, you have access to the back of your binoculars. But there really is no adjustment. There's no alignment adjustment. Now you can access the mechanism that affects the synchronizing of the eyepieces in case you needed to address that synchronizing, like tighten the gap so that they're not so loose and floppy. You can do that, but that's about all you can do in the back. So these are your prisms. Everything is glued in place. So hopefully you're your prisms will never need to be adjusted. Underneath you have access to your yellow filter if you wanted to clean that, and this is also plastic, so you will need plastic cleaner to clean those. And you can see your lenses in here, your drum mags, and you can clean those if necessary. So in conclusion, this has been just a basic overall presentation of how to get to various areas on this SL-115, and if you ever have one, then maybe these things can help you.